St. Louis Performance Hall, early 1930s, the last days of vaudeville. Powder puffs, robes draped across ottomans, crystal perfumes, and abandoned wigs make up the assortment of minute luxuries that adorn the Negro woman's dressing room. However, subtle signs of decline stain this basement dwelling. Francesca Fancy Jones, 13, black and hopeful to a fault, sits underneath an air vent to hear the brass blare of the performance underway above her. She sews a costume along a pile of damaged garments. With her hands, she works on an extravagant costume. It's small, just like something you might expect on a preteen majorette. As the horns die and the applause shakes the ceiling, Fancy lights up. From above, the theater manager's voice cuts through the applause.
Back from her journey to the Tithian Theater, the prodigal songstress has finally returned. A big round of applause for Aurora Sky!
Applause bleeds through once again, this time followed by an upbeat tune. Fancy is enthralled. Winter, black, late 20s, too old to be a star in this world, but still shining with dim light, enters, pearls rattling from her costume. She trains to unzip her dress while wiping off burnt cork makeup from her face.
Hey, can you unzip me? Or not? They could have made the gunk any thicker.
Winter searches through the counters of the dressing room.
Has the boss been through with my money yet? He said he would come by with yesterday's cut.
Shh, this is my favorite part.
Stingy bastard. Been avoiding me all day. He practically jumped into the pit when I came in for rehearsal. The violas had to catch him.
I heard some French Duke is out there tonight. Can you imagine? France? How do you think he ended up here in little old St. Louis? I would have guessed he'd at least go somewhere that is really French, like New Orleans or up the river to Chicago.
New Orleans. Stop chewing your words.
You can't eat words.
You've shown me otherwise.
You think he'd like Chicago?
I think you'd better come on. I'm ready to go home.
Fancy shifts nervously. She hurries her needlework.
What about your money?
I know where he lives, and I can get his ass tonight in the bar if he goes out after curtain call.
You're not really the violent type.
Nah, unless you mess with the 2 M's, don't touch my man, and definitely don't touch my money.
Winter lights a cigarette and opens the newspaper.
I thought you were quitting.
Shh.
You said it made your throat ache after singing.
Do as I say, not as I do. Kinloch Repertory bids final adieu. Another one. It's a shame. They were some good folks.
Wasn't it just a nigga theater?
Hey, where did you learn that from?
That's what the boss calls them. Says don't nobody but broke colored folk go there.
Well, we're just a nigga theater. Just because white folks give us the time of day doesn't mean we're not one step from being homeless. They'll leave as soon as they stop being entertained, especially in these times. The theaters on Grand are shutting their doors too, you know. You're still not done. Oh, Francesca, Miss Selma isn't going to pay you if you don't finish hemming those costumes today. How much more do you have to do?
Winter reaches to see what Fancy's working on, but Fancy jerks away, shoving her special costume underneath the pile and picking another one up.
I told you, I want to be called Fancy. Just give me a minute. You think the Duke is tall? I heard he's not much to look at. The chorus girls were gossiping during transition. I can't see how they could make him out in the dark. I know how blinding those lights can be. I stood in for a girl once when she was sick for Q to Q. Aurora says that the money can make any man handsome, but I'm not sure I agree. Because if you have an ugly mug, you just have an ugly mug. And I heard Frenchmen have big noses. So how are you going to be pretty with a big nose?
The French don't have dukes or any royalty, but the Germans do. Or they had some till recently.
Winter sits beside her sister and listens to the music through the vent with her. She picks up some thread and needle and begins helping with the workload.
And the man you're speaking of is quite short.
You've seen him?
Mm-hmm. Mostly from the stage, but one time we sat across from the same dinner table after a performance at Les Folies Bergère.
You went to dinner with a Duke in Paris.
I didn't think it was important. He's probably a few inches taller than you. Not a bad height for a man, but his composure makes him seem smaller than he actually is. He's not at all the type to entertain a lot of guests. I was a little surprised when his secretary came to our dressing room.
And? What did he say?
He asked me to dinner. I came over to the table he and his friends were sitting at, and then nothing. He said he wanted to see the Negro songstress folks were wailing about.
You had dinner with a duke and told me nothing.
I thought it was nothing.
Unbelievable.
But I'll let you in on one thing. Big noses can be pretty. He has one just like you.
Winter pokes Fancy's nose, and Fancy groans like any teenager.
Ugh.
All of that glamour stuff is overrated anyway.
Easy for you to say.
As the music draws its breath to begin another song, Winter sighs.
You know, they're going to play the same song tomorrow night, and the night after that, and on the radio Saturday night.
It doesn't sound good on that cheap thing at home.
Hey, I spent half a paycheck on that.
It sounds better down here. You can't feel the floor shake from the trumpets on a radio.
No, you can't. But you can feel the comfort of a bed from home. How do you go so fast? I'm still on my first stitch.
Calluses. You're too worried about pricking your dainty fingers.
They're not dainty. I have normal-sized hands.
It's a compliment. Men love small hands. Sing about them too. I just heard a song about them earlier.
My Little Lady. I hate that song. I'll be glad when those rough hands get you out of here for a real job. And then you don't have to listen to fat men crone about being rubbed all over by a little lady.
Isn't this a real job? I don't really mind.
You know what I mean. Somewhere there isn't so volatile you'll never know when we might shut down.
Tonight's audience didn't sound like we're lacking business.
You didn't see tonight's audience. Did you ever follow up with that apprenticeship at the Cleaners? The Cleaners, Miss Selma's old employers?
Oh, yeah. Talked to them yesterday.
I could have sworn you were steaming costumes all day.
I popped out for lunch.
You had lunch with me.
I went after lunch while you were getting refitted.
Well, did you ask them about your start date?
Mm-hmm.
And?
And nothing. They just told me to show up on time.
That's it. You didn't ask them about the salary?
I can't really say I remember.
Fancy stands to put up her stack of finished clothes. Her special costume drags along the floor, unbeknownst to her.
Of all things, your salary should be something to remember.
Winter notices the special costume, pulls it from the pile.
Hey!
I haven't seen this costume before. You made this embroidery, right? I can tell. Miss Selma's stitches aren't as neat as yours, not with her cataracts. Who are you making this for? I thought we weren't commissioning anything new with all of these budget cuts.
It's for a new sketch. Miss Selma asked me to work on it.
I ain't know Miss Selma to be one to commission new work. I've been wearing the same leotard for the past 2 seasons. It's practically falling apart at the seams. The boss ain't say a word about a new sketch in the company meeting.
That's because he asked me personally to work on it.
He asked you, personally. When?
I can't remember. Can you give it back?
I thought Miss Selma asked you.
They both did.
How long have you been working on it?
I said I don't know. Can I have it back?
You'll have it back when you can give me a straight answer. I want to know.
There ain't nothing to know. Winter, please.
I don't know anyone this small in the chorus. Francesca?
Just leave it alone, Winter. You can go home. I don't need you to wait for me.
Don't you snatch that away from me. Give it here.
Winter tugs at one end of the costume while Fancy holds fast to the other. A struggle ensues until a loud rip. Beads clatter to the ground.
My dress!
Winter stands with the limp fabric while Fancy scurries to collect the fallen beads.
Where did you get this?
No, no, no. Can you hand me the broom? I can't reach.
Francesca, where did you get this?
It's fancy.
Fancy is a name for birds, for pets. Now, Francesca, please tell me where you got this material from. If you stole fabric from Miss Selma, then by God, she's gonna have your ass over a fire. Why didn't you just tell me you wanted to play dress up? You could have asked me for one of my old costumes. You've seen how many I have at home. You know how Miss Selma is about her supplies. She notices everything. How long do you think it's gonna take before she realizes you're a thief?
I didn't steal anything.
Then how did you get this? Because you sure can't afford it. Where is my paycheck?
I told you, the boss ain't hand out the checks yet.
Bullshit. I've seen everyone walking around with envelopes today.
Winter sifts through Fancy's belongings. As she moves, an envelope falls out of the ripped dress. Winter looks at the dress, incredulous, and finds a pocket in the hem.
Seriously? In the hem?
I'm sorry, I didn't think it would be too much.
25, 30, 35, $10? You stole $10 from my purse?
I was gonna pay you back. I get paid in a few.
How am I supposed to pay rent until then? The first is in a few days.
I said I was gonna pay you back.
It's the principle, Francesca. Don't go living beyond your means. Don't put your head in the clouds of fantastic dreams. I've said it time and time again.
I know that. I don't live beyond my means. Why do you think I had all those extra clothes today? I just want something for myself. You can understand that, right? I'm tired of all this rough hands, fingers blistered just to adorn someone else.
Rough hands mean honest work. There's nothing wrong with that.
You keep saying that.
Because it's the truth.
Rough hands weren't good enough for you.
What?
Rough hands. They weren't enough. Nobody complains about how rough you are, all soft and smooth edges. You were allowed to be soft. Daddy cherished you for it. That's why he didn't hold you back when you wanted to leave.
I sent you money every month.
And for that, I'm grateful. But this time I want to have something I imagine for my own. You imagine this for me, but it's not what you imagine for yourself.
You have no idea what I imagined, and this is far from it. You think I like slathering this gunk on my face so they can make a fool out of me?
You didn't have to live this way to come back.
Pardon me?
Never mind. I asked Miss Selma for an advance, so can you please leave it alone?
No, I'm not gonna leave it alone. Come on, say it with your chest. What do you have to say? Thought so. In advance? Right, which is why you have all this work sitting around unfinished. Come on, bring this on home so you can finish, because I'm tired of you wasting time playing dress up.
It's not for dress up. I'm gonna be a chorus girl.
Oh, and who told you that?
Aurora bursts in. Her arms are filled to the brim with flowers. She's glamorous and at the peak of her prime as a prima donna.
No need to hold your applause, ladies. It was a fantastic night, as always.
Aurora, if you don't mind, we're in the middle of something.
The Fleur des Lys of St. Louis has returned. That's what the editor of the STL American said would be tomorrow's headline on the culture page.
Aurora, you're interrupting.
Must you always be a drag, Winter? You're ruining my post-show glow. This isn't just your dressing room anymore.
Okay, Francesca, get on up and go. We'll finish this at home.
No, not before I tell you about my homecoming. Fancy, be a doll and bring me some water for these flowers. They're a gift from the Duke.
My sister is not your personal assistant, and I said it's time to go.
Oh, please, Winter. Who pissed in your drink? You believe I would think so lowly of her? Ooh, oh, I have a bottle of champagne in the icebox. The police sergeant left it for me. Thank you, dear.
Aurora pours them all generous glasses of champagne. She raises her glass to a toast.
To the Fleur de Lys of St. Louis.
The fleur is a symbol, not an actual flower.
Just drink the wine.
The Duke gave you flowers?
He sure did. Isn't it a wonderful gesture? La Rose de Castile. He brought them all the way from France.
I thought he was from Germany.
Which is next to France. Anyways, he approached me while I was preparing for my entrance backstage. He kissed my hand, then pecked both of my cheeks. You know what the French call that greeting? Les bisous. So he must be close enough to Paris.
Sounds very informal for the Duke.
And what would you know about formality?
I know he doesn't do any introductions without his secretary.
Then you hardly know him at all. Anyways, tonight's audience had such an interesting crowd. I spotted a few brothers from the Licavoli mob with the Scraffords, who were sitting in the orchestra section with the Dilworths right across the aisle. Who knows those folks to get along? I don't. Last time I was in town, one of them shot up the other's grocery store in Baden. You bet that was my last time shopping there. When white folks start crossing each other, I get nervous.
Aurora inspects the label of the champagne bottle.
But they sure do buy nice gifts. Armand de Brignac. You know how I can get more of this?
Ask the Duke. Let's go.
Tell me more about who all was out there. Did you see anything else important?
Let me think. There weren't a lot of people who are really important, you know? The folks who call the shots but always hide their hands. But there were a lot of folks who think they're important. Those are the ones who spend the most money, so they're nice to be around. But guess what? Big Junior brought his cheetah. I thought he was joking when he told me he was gonna bring it, but there it was, a real live cheetah with a diamond collar and velvet leash around its neck like some house cat. I cackled when I saw the boss pleading with him not to bring it in, sweating like somebody called the debt collectors. I feel bad for the house staff, though.
I hate that I couldn't be out there to watch it.
You see a lot of wild things when you do enough shows. You think you've seen it all.
Not everything you see out there is wondrous, which is why it's foolish to chase diamonds and glory. Come on, time to go.
Winnie, you always act like enjoying nice things make you downright miserable.
Winter. My name is Winter. Thank you.
Girl, your name is Winifred. I'm just saying, it's not torture.
In case you haven't noticed, we aren't exactly rich right now.
Speak for yourself.
Gifts and favors are quick to disappear once your appeal fade. I wouldn't spend everything so quickly if I were you.
Spoken like someone who shined a little too bright, too fast. Don't let your sister make you jaded.
I am not jaded, just pragmatic.
Pessimism is not pragmatism, Winter. It's a distortion of reality.
I'm glad you're making use of big words.
And that, fancy, is called elitism.
Okay, you can stop talking like you have something to teach her. She may be a child, but she has more sense than you.
Not a child.
Are you implying that I'm a bad influence?
I'm simply saying that you're the last person who should be trying to influence someone's kid.
I'm not a child.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with being a child. That just means you have someone to protect you.
When you were my age, you had already left home. You had already made a name for yourself. And
you know, this is really dampening my mood. How about we just...
You think I'm stagnating your growth, but really, I'm trying to protect you. It's hard out there, and you don't have enough sense. You see how much my check is? So yes, you are a child, because if you weren't, you would be chasing your imagination all day. Who even put this idea in your head?
Aurora. She invited me on her tour.
All eyes go to Aurora, who is preoccupied with her own vanity.
Oh, I guess I did say that.
Aurora, why would you do that? Carry her away on empty promises? She can't do that. She's just a child.
I am not a child.
I didn't think much of it. Plenty of young girls follow me around the country. When I was 12, I had already seen New York and San Francisco and everything in between. She asked me if I needed anyone else, and I said yes.
You didn't think to ask me first? We've been on the road together. You know what it's like.
Yes, we have, but I don't consider us contemporaries, let alone friends. So please forgive me if I'm not eager to ask your permission for anything. What's this?
Aurora notices the costume Winter is holding and slips it from her hands.
This is gorgeous. Just my type of embellishment. Fancy, did you make this?
Yes, ma'am. I made it for the tour.
You always had an eye for design. I used to love when you would sneak those alterations into my chorus outfit. You made me stand out from the other girls. I know cheap old Miss Selma ain't let you do this on your own.
She didn't, which is why she's going to unbind every button and unstitch every rhinestone to return to their home here, and she's going to take the fabric back to the store.
What? Winter, please, no. I've already cut it. I spent so much time.
Then uncut it. Do what you need to do. It's going back.
They're not going to take it back, so why waste the time?
They will after I talk to them.
You're not being fair. I hand over my earnings to you every week, no questions asked. But the moment I try to do something for myself.
Oh, you want to do something for yourself? Fine. You could have done something for yourself with your own money, but you bypassed fair when you stole from me. Nobody wants a thief in their house. You're lucky you didn't steal from here, because you would have been thrown out and probably me with you, and then we both wouldn't have been unemployed and probably on the streets soon after. Can't you see how hard it is there? How many folks wait in line for nothing but watery broth and stale cornbread? And you want to waste money? Money that I hate, that I can't give you on this? None of this is glamorous. It's just plain old sad. There's a reason there's been no one to wear your glittery costumes, that we haven't had a full house in years. My paycheck? I haven't been getting even half of what I normally make. And you want this life? It's nothing but a bunch of disappointment and nostalgia for better days. All while tap dancing for some white folks that couldn't care less if I danced right into my early grave.
You could have stayed home.
Yeah, I could have. But I had dreams. Dreams I just had to chase. Dreams just like you. I'll add, I remember twirling to music when Daddy was in the room and sneaking off to performances on Friday nights. That's probably where you got your dreams from. Watching me. So I guess it's my fault you want this. You were raised this way. And when I went off on my first tour, they billed us at the Prawns Circuit, me and Billy D and the band, along with our chorus. Oh, I was elated. I thought, finally, I've been noticed. I'm someone important now. Someone finally realized I'm worth talent. Real talent. None of that race records shit. I couldn't sing opera, after all. Could sing all the high riffs and vibrato, and I could sing by ear or read some sheet music if you'd like. But when I finally got to Paris, they wanted to put a giant watermelon cut out up behind me. I said, why do we need a watermelon? And they said, because it'll fit your image. So there I was, singing not a damn thing about watermelons, yet standing in front of one on my best international stage, because even a continent away, still couldn't escape being a nigga. So go on, chase your dreams.
Winter picks up her purse, heads towards the door.
I'm not gonna stand in your way.
Winter, I don't want to hurt you. You've been my person my whole life. I don't just listen to Aurora under the vent. I listen to you too. I see all the pain you carry, how you're tired of being seen as nothing more than a joke. They don't deserve you. But when your face lights up when you sing with the radio at home, I see that you deserve to be seen.
Auntie picks up the tattered chorus costume. She holds it to her body.
I'm just asking that you see what I deserve too.
Winter looks to her sister, finally seeing her for the first time. Aurora's laughter tears through this tender moment. She's in tears.
Oh, wait. All of this fuss because you thought I was going to make you a chorus girl? I thought I came here on the wrong night, but this shit is hilarious. Honey, you make pretty designs and all, but you're too ugly for that.
Fancy recoils, hurt. Winter steps to Aurora, a threat, but Aurora holds her hands up, still laughing.
Hold up. I ain't come here to get my ass whooped tonight.
Aurora hops to her feet, grabs the bottle of champagne by the neck. She's doubling over in laughter as she makes her way to the exit.
Thanks for the laugh, but I have better things than this.
Aurora exits. Winter and Fancy remain distant. Winter places a hand on Fancy's shoulder.
You know that's not true, right?
Fancy nods. Winter pulls her into an embrace. We hold another hug as we fade to black.